They've evolved from this unit, which was the first one we used in the development of our air pollution work, through to automated systems which employ the same size of harmonizer with an audio field. This is the sound that we use for driving the harmonizer. We use a environmental harmonizer and we place the earphones of a Sony Walkman in very near proximity to it. When this sound enters into the harmonizer field, the sound expands the field out to about a 15-mile radius, creating a 15-mile diameter dome in which the air pollution will very soon disappear. It takes about an hour of playing with the harmonizer to achieve this result.
5-mile active radius up to 2,500 miles, depending on the size of the harmonizer.
Clearing out these HARP motherfuckers. You can already see the harmonizers doing work. It's only been here for 5 or 10 minutes, but would you believe that one of these could clear chemtrails in the sky? Look, do you miss seeing blue skies? Are you used to seeing silver haze like this? Well, look how it clears all the way in the distance, gray and then blue. The sun is being blocked by the geoengineering, and then there's the blue right above where I'm sitting. We've already taken care of that area over there. You can see it's gray and then blue. Harmonizers, baby. Just wanted to show you how these devices help me on a daily basis. They got the HARP there trying to block the sun, but you can see anywhere in the distance of where I am. Blue, blue, and blue, baby. Holding it off here. Scalar waves, sucker punch, tensor harmonizers.
Okay, so getting back to the Denver brown cloud experiment. Slim knew these worked. He knew they worked on geopathic stress and air pollution and encouraging rain, encouraging sunshine, you know, once again creating natural weather patterns. So he ran this experiment and he set up, I think, 10 to 15 of these smaller harmonizers all around Denver, the whole way around, and then ran that environmental clearing CD into them for a number of hours and days, and then basically you know, the Air Force was basically monitoring this. He told the Air Force, I'm going to be doing these experiments. Are you willing to partake or at least observe what happens? And at the time, the Denver brown cloud was in the newspapers. It was in all the headlines. And basically by having these 10 to 15 harmonizers set up all around Denver, once the audio frequency was running into them, the brown cloud went away and it was pristine blue skies, in Slim's words. He said he was driving about 7 o'clock in the evening and he had a top view of the environment and he could just see a candlelight on the horizon. He could see the sun set and everything was clear. He didn't see that sun radiation behind the brown cloud. And he said he stood there and cried for an hour because he literally found a solution to the problem. He found a way to combat air pollution. And he said, in Slim's words, air pollution is the single biggest factor on this planet right now. That was back then, early 2000s, 1994 up until early 2000s when a lot of these experiments were going on. He said it was the biggest factor. You know, we're breathing all this stuff in, and whilst it might be on a minute nano scale, we're breathing it in. It is not beneficial to us in any way. So that cloud seeding crap that they go on about, it doesn't help. What does help is negatively ionizing the atmosphere using this type of technology. Okay? You negatively ionize the atmosphere, the hydrogen bond forms, and the sky can then allow rain to fall. It's that simple. And negative ions are beneficial to human biology in every way. Okay? Positive ions are not. Positive ions from fossil fuel burning, from electricity, power lines, NEXRAD radars, mobile towers, the number one problem that we're dealing with these days. These cell towers are diminishing the oxygen in the atmosphere, so we don't take in that oxygen. They also radiate the water and the oxygen inside of us. Okay, so these towers are shutting down our ability to self-heal. They are radiating the environment. Yeah, positive ions. They don't assist us at all. Negative ions do. So this technology goes along with that. It negatively ionizes the atmosphere and it allows nature to do what she would naturally do if we hadn't put our hands into the mixture, you know what I mean? And muddled everything up. The harmonizers are phenomenal. You know, they do everything that you could imagine and more. Just use your imagination. You know, when you start playing around with the life force energy, there is no limitations. It's not like you get a manual with it and it says you can only do so much. No, it's all based on your intention. You know, you can work with these and your intention. You know, you can write on a piece of paper and put it on the inside and say, I want everyone in this house to heal as fast as possible, and it will broadcast that. These are broadcasting tools. Furthermore, you can use solfeggio frequencies, healing frequencies that have been known for thousands of years. You can broadcast frequencies that work on disease and illness, or work on negative behavior. You know, people get into an argument, you can run frequencies which work to transmute that argument, you know, basically make it come to an end and make people start getting along better. You know, it really works. The center of this harmonizer, there is something known as a sucker punch, which is basically a Mobius coil wrapped around a quartz crystal, and then that connects to a headphone jack, and then what happens is you run the frequency into the speaker wire, and then it programs that crystal to broadcast that out. And on its own, that would only create a very small field. when it's inside the harmonizer configuration, the coil as well as the toroidal frame, it broadcasts through that crystal those audio frequencies that you're running through your music device. And yeah, you can use solfeggio frequencies, you can play nature sounds, use your imagination. Any music that, you know, has a benefit. Really, really amazing. Like I can't say it enough. I can't say it enough. I've been working with this technology since 2018. I use it every day. I see what it does to the sky. You know, you can change frequencies on the fly. You can play different frequencies that affect the sky, and that works basically by the sucker punch on the inside. You can see it right there. That sucker punch or Mobius coil around a quartz crystal, when you run frequencies into that crystal in a square wave form, okay? Square wave is very, very important. If you're listening to classical music, you can't really do much about that, but if you're using a tone generator or a frequency generator, by pulsing that crystal with square waves, it then broadcasts scalar waves out of this device. And to go even deeper, for those of you that know about HARP and all the geoengineering sort of technology that they use, if you ever see like a really overcast day and you see the sine wave ripples in the sky, okay, by pulsing square waves into these harmonizers using frequency generators, that counters the sine waves that they are using. Square waves smash sine waves, and I'll link something below that explains that. You know, square waves are biocompatible with human biology. I believe their name is just Sacred Knowledge in Etsy, and I'll leave a link below. And they specialize in the harmonizer technology. There are a number of harmonizers you can get through them, including this one. This one's a little bit upper, you know, in the price range, but it's very affordable. And once you have it, it's just, you forget about the money that you've put into it, you know, because it does so much. You can use it to heal yourself. You can use it to heal the environment, your family, your sick dog. I mean, these guys really have taken Slim Spurling's research and they've just pushed it to the limit, you know. The very first harmonizer I got from Slim Spurling's wife's company, which is still up and going, didn't have the sucker punch in it. Didn't have that. So you literally had to have earphones on each side, and these things work with the more volume that you put into them. So running that all the time, it's like you've got to put it in a room and close the door, and even then you can still hear it. It's very, very irritating. And I've experimented with just having it at a low volume. You don't get the same effect as pumping out the volume as loud as you possibly can. So Sacred Knowledge Energy Tools, by putting the sucker punch on the inside, you don't need to listen to it. You can have it in your backpack. No one needs to know it's there doing its thing. And I've done that with a company that I've been working with, and they've never known. So I can drive around and play different frequencies that have a different effect on the sky. You know, if the person that I'm with, you know, they've been very negative, I can just run solfeggio frequencies to just transmute that negative kind of energy. And the amount of times I've stopped it dead in its tracks, and it's just, it makes you chuckle, you know. You just feel like, wow, you know, like you're probably thinking to yourself, I know I could do that on my own, but this is helping me realize the true potential of that. So harmonizers specifically, you will not find anyone else out there in this world that makes harmonizers correctly other than Sacred Knowledge Energy Tools, point blank. they're very dear friends of mine, so it probably does sound like I'm giving you a sales pitch here, but, you know, and that's just how it is. You know, I vouch for people that make products that I would buy, that are not outrageously overpriced. We need this stuff. We need this stuff that makes us feel like I can do anything imaginable. I can change the weather. I can heal this friend of mine with disease. I can restructure this water that's come out of my tap, and I can, you know, I can do anything. I can be a healer. I can heal the environment and all those around me. And that is so very important with what's going on in the world, because right now so much of what we see around us is just pain and suffering and illness. And I'm sorry, but that's not how life should be. It's not how life should be. It's totally backwards. So let's work with technology that does the opposite of that. Slim Spurling. Thank you, Slim. Thank you, Slim. Check him out, read up about him, and just blow your mind. Alright, much love. Look after yourself. Peace.